I'll say good morning or good afternoon, depending on when you're watching this video, but I'm thrilled to be joined today by White Gold Corp's new Vice President of Exploration, Dylan Langille. Dylan, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks, Romeo. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Now, I'm going to grill you a bit on your decision to join White Gold, so hope you don't mind a slight grilling as we get into today's chat.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
Awesome. So I'm going to jump right in. I'll ask, what factors convinced you that this was the right time to leave Kinross and join White Gold as VP of Exploration?
Yeah, great question. So for those that don't know, I've spent the last 7 years working on the Great Bear project. So I was involved with that project from initial discovery. Several years later, spent 3 years on resource development and growth. So kind of two different phases of the mining cycle. And I would say, while the whole experience was phenomenal, the most exciting days were those discovery days. So I was kind of looking for an opportunity to get back to that. What particularly struck my eye with White Gold was just the scale and potential of their portfolio. They've got over 20 properties in the Klondike Gold District, and I think there's a lot of potential for discovery there. It's also backed by a proven resource already with 2.3 million ounces, and it's a high-grade quality resource, open pittable. So I think in terms of risk, it's a pretty low-risk operation to join. So that's what caught my eye. And I think I'm mostly excited to hit the ground running on the rest of the properties and hopefully make more discoveries. I also just think it was the right timing in terms of the gold market.
Sure.
Yeah, as we know, gold is at $3,400. So I think there's a lot of pressure right now to find new discoveries and to restock those reserves. And I think there's going to be increasing pressure on mining companies to go after these juniors and put pressure on them as well to make discoveries. So I think White Gold has positioned them very well to benefit from this.
Awesome. Yeah, being part of that core discovery team at Great Bear, just really so cool. Kind of one of Canada's most significant recent gold stories. One thing I'm curious about, as moving to White Gold, how does your approach change when you're building on existing resources versus hunting for that first major discovery?
Yeah, with discoveries, you're often dealing with a lot less data. So you're kind of assessing more of a region, and you're trying to pick up properties that you think have geologic potential. In some cases, you might be lucky enough to have, soil sampling or till sampling, maybe some geophysics, rarely some drill holes maybe that you're hoping have missed ore shoots. But you're basically coming up with a hypothesis, and you're testing that hypothesis with some pretty grassroots work. When it comes to resource growth and definition, kind of like what I was doing the last 3 years at Great Bear, you've already made that discovery. You've already proven that a resource exists. So now you're spending the money on making that as big as possible. So you've got a lot more data. You've got a lot of drill holes into the deposit. You're assessing trends and plunges, and you're hopefully targeting mineralization on a more accurate level. So that's kind of how they differ. Both scenarios require a lot of discipline. So data integration, and a disciplined approach. So I think modeling and data integration is critical, but your pace, risk tolerance, and strategy differ between discovery and growth and definition.
Sure, no, that makes sense. I do want to talk about the district for a second. So I know White Gold represents 40% of the Yukon's White Gold district, neighboring those big projects like Newmont's Coffee. Now, what I'm curious for your perspective on is what do you think the long-term vision is for how the district evolves, and how do you see White Gold Corp fitting into that story?
What the White Gold District itself, I see as a future mining hub for sustained gold production for sure. In recent years, we've seen an uptick in discoveries. We've seen majors getting interested, and we've actually seen government start to put funding and money towards infrastructure, something that the Yukon is kind of lacking and behind on. And I think White Gold has positioned themselves to benefit from this significantly, just because they've got such a massive portfolio of properties. So it's not a matter of if they'll make discoveries. I feel it's more of when they'll make these discoveries, and honestly how many. And then I think as those discoveries happen, we'll attract the attention of majors and other partners going forward.
Cool. Now, one thing I always notice about White Gold is you've got 21 properties spanning those 300,000 hectares, existing resources of 2.3 million ounces. So my question to you is, this is a sturdy task. How do you prioritize where to focus exploration efforts for the company?
Yeah, when you're dealing with a portfolio of properties as large as White Gold, that's definitely a challenge. But I think for us, prioritization will start with just looking at the data. So taking each property, going through all the data with fine-tune comb. We'll look at the geology, the historical work, results, geophysical signatures, geochemical signatures, and we'll put those properties in a pipeline, and we'll assess them in terms of prospectivity. We'll also look at logistical considerations, how close these properties might be to infrastructure that exists or infrastructure that's planned to go in. And that'll kind of help us develop what will drive value for White Gold and ultimately for their shareholders.
Great. One thing, if I could speak to your reputation for a second, you're known for integrating multidisciplinary data to de-risk exploration. What kind of innovative techniques and styles are you most excited to deploy in Yukon's environment?
That's a tough one to answer.
Sure.
I don't think I'm too excited about one technique in particular. I think we have a big portfolio of properties, and it's going to take more than one technique, whether it be geophysics, soil sampling grids, IP surveys. I think we'll assess every property individually, and then we'll deploy the best techniques that property requires.
Appreciate that answer. Just to wrap up today, I know like the success of Great Bear is that eventual acquisition by Kinross, kind of an obviously successful outcome. And I'm curious, what do you consider a successful outcome for White Gold Corp and its shareholders? And also more importantly, what milestones need to be hit to get there?
Success, from my perspective, is about creating sustained value. I think that means continuing to drive discoveries, hopefully more than one, expanding our existing resource, and then advancing our highest priority targets. So I think for shareholders, the key milestones to look forward to would be strong drill results, updating that technical report on the White Gold property in terms of resources. And then I think shareholders would love to see us develop a strategy and a pipeline for the remaining properties and how we're going to tackle those for discovery. But ultimately, I think White Gold has the potential to attract some serious attention from majors, and I think will be a big part of the next Yukon gold discovery and rush.
Awesome. Well, Dylan, thank you so much for taking the time today. Looking forward to seeing you more on the team and talking to you again about what's up next at White Gold.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me on. It was a pleasure.
Cheers.